love to go back and make some of our old dungeons heroic. It's just simply a matter of time, and if we ever get the time to do that, we would love to. We spent more time in those dungeons than anyone, so we would love to see them still viable someday.
Alright, so that asks half of what I was going to ask about, but you hinted a while ago about 3 zones in the Blood Elf starting area, and so the potential for something like the Sunwell Grove or Sunwell Plateau, which would kind of tie in for the whole North Ramp gap. So are we getting that raid, or what, for 2.4 or 5, whatever it's going to be? Anything?
The Sunwell would certainly be an awesome idea, and if I wasn't under public relations mandate that I not discuss what's coming up in the upcoming patch, but man, that sounds like a cool idea.
Okay, next question.
Alright, first of all, I would like to congratulate you guys on making the best MMO I've ever played, so props to that. And second of all, my question is, I'm in a BT raiding guild, and we generally bring like 7 healers to the raid, which is fine until you get to like Gurtok Button Boil, where you need 11 healers. And so therefore you have to have 3 or 4 healers sitting out of your raid, ready to come in. And it's not really fair to the people sitting out. So you kill Gurtok Blood Boil, go on to Essence, that's a little bit more easy going. Get on to Mother Shiraz, and you need certain types of DPS classes compared to others. And therefore you have to switch your raid again. I was wondering if you guys are going to like work a little bit more to balance raid stacking so it's more fair for just 25 core players.
It's definitely a concern that we're always looking out for. Whenever we monitor a whole lot of what the raiding community is, how they're being our encounters. We watch a lot of the same videos you guys do. We read, forum posts talking about, particular strats. I mean, you mentioned Mother Shiraz. Like right now, she has a mechanic, her prismatic shield that's very, very. It's bad for casters. They can't do the amount of DPS that they normally can. So people are stacking the raid with a whole lot of melee and just bringing a few token casters because, well, if the loot drops, someone needs to visit it. So. It's definitely something we are constantly monitoring. As far as needing 11 healers in Gurtok, if you ask around, there's a lot of people that do it with less than that. I mean, the most healing intensive fight I've heard of is probably Mother Shiraz in its current state. But we're watching it. We definitely don't want you to stack in one of those awesome, as I think Four Horsemen was. Stacking with 8 warriors was a little over the top. So it's something we're always mindful of, and if you guys ever find that this encounter we can't beat it unless we have 6 mages or whatever, we'll check out the forums, we'll read it, we'll watch your videos, and we'll make adjustments to it. I mean, we're pretty committed to making adjustments to our raid game and the balance of that raid game and how it plays. Because we want it all to be really fun. We want it to be fun for every class. We don't want anyone to feel like they're being left out because we decided that your class sucked for that particular encounter.
I'd like to ask, there's some instances that the Horde can't get to. They're like just straight Alliance instances. Are you going to do anything to make them more accessible?
There are a couple instances that we consider, I don't want to say that we consider them exclusive, but we specifically designed for one side or the other. So obviously Stockades and Ragefire, we've kind of left up to, Horde and Alliance splitting off. I think some examples of dungeons that Horde would like to do would be like Dead Mines. I think a lot of Horde would like to see Dead Mines. It's going to be really tricky for us to get level 15 Horde players there. We can kind of do it with Shadowfang Keep for the Alliance. It's kind of difficult for them. Ultimately, I think it balances out. Like when Zul'Aman comes in, it really is in Horde territory, and that's going to be more of a Horde dungeon. We also had Scarlet Monastery is definitely in Horde territory. In fact, when you're in the monastery, if you're Alliance, you're flagged for PvP. If you're Horde, you're not, which is, at a higher level dungeon that makes for some fun times in the lobby. perhaps a better job, but in some cases, we really do want them to just be for the one side or the other. And it actually makes it more fun when you go back and re-roll that other side and see whaling caverns or see the dead mines for the first time.
Also, does anyone have badge number 50071?
Next question.
My question is actually a two-parter, but I'm going to start with a question that basically, I'd like to know who fixed the bouncing cleat bug, so I can personally thank them from every rogue who plays the game.
That's these guys right here.
Well, I want to thank you for that. It was a great improvement on my experience. Resist fights and fear is a raid mechanic. I'm sure you guys have heard this mentioned a lot, but personally, I'm also in the BT Rating Guild, and the Mother Shaz fight, while doable, is somewhat of a pain, for lack of a better word, to have to farm all the resist gear and to carry that extra gear in your limited bag space, which I think somebody thought was also a sub-game in itself, managing how many bag slots you have.
That was me.
Yeah, okay. So I'm just wondering, I mean, are you guys going to try to either steer away from that, or is it something we should expect moving forward and just prepare for it and just suck it up and deal with it?
Scott, I'm gonna let you handle this. I have another part on the resist gear front, but I'll let Scott handle the first part of it. What's the first part?
Here's a rate.
Huh? Fear is a raid mechanic. Okay. Yeah, Fear Ward. We are going to do something about Fear Ward for the Horde. We've talked to the class guys and said we're sick of dealing with the imbalance. I mean, it's something we like fear as a mechanic. We can go too far with it. Like a really long fear feels really bad because you're like, oh, I'm not doing anything. I hope I don't die, please. All right, I'm back. That's it in a nutshell. So we have to be careful about that in particular. I mean, if Jeff wants to take
One more note on resist gear. We're working on a system right now for the WoW default interface that is very similar to some of the user add-ons that we think are really cool, like Item Rack and Outfitter. But one thing that we can do that they can't is we can actually give you real space to store the extra junk.
UI mods. I know that UI mods are a huge part of rating, and it's something that we can also talk about in the future. We're talking about actually putting in a threat meter inside our game. Better UI for explaining, what Deadly Boss Mods does currently with all the bars, letting you know that, hey, this ability is about to come up in a certain amount of time. We're talking about doing that inside our UI as well. We know there's a lot of UI mods that really help rating, and we really want to bring those into our own UI, and not just something that you have to go and get. Oh, the UI mod went out of, it broke on the latest patch. And you can't rate for that night because everyone's UI mod is broken.